Made a video earlier today called Physical Something Spiritual, something like that. And that's what I'm trying to figure out. I became fairly convinced, not that I'm not convinced. It's impossible to not be confused. Because here's the situation. For a long time, for most of my life, I've asked God for signs. And God's been gracious. God is good. God's given me signs. And then God asked me for a lot. And I am still always doing my best on whatever. And I'm not always sure that my work is, or my efforts are worthy of even being effort. I don't always know what I'm trying to even accomplish, which really is irrelevant right now, with few exceptions. How do things apply to real life? Real life, the life that we're living, is always the relevance. So things, UFOs and supernatural. When I was a kid, my parents had friends over and they watched a movie, made us go outside. My sister and I. We'd never had to go outside before. What hardcore pornography could they have been watching? They were watching a movie called The Natural. About a pitcher. As far as I know, it was fairly unremarkable. I don't think there was anything unduly horrible that we should have had to go outside. There were other rooms in the house. Not many. There weren't many rooms at all, but there were other places to be. But now that I'm 43 and have lived a supernatural life, for 20 years, a little longer than 20 years, more than about half my life, probably, 21 and a half years. Give or take. The idea of nature and what's really real. We know that whether we like politics or not, or we care about politics or not, we know that the media lies to us. We know about Operation Mockingbird and that the Pentagon. I'm a war guy. I like the Pentagon as much as I like anyone. Of course, they're not paying me, so why not? I would pay me if I was them. Maybe I'm a computer in their basement. Thinks I'm living a life, right? Sometimes the math of everything just lines up too well. Very well. I saw this beautiful video sent to me by a friend, and it's a Jewish dude talking about I know I'm so much more attractive when I'm sitting up. Really, whatever. It was about how everything's gonna be good and God's in control of everything. But there was a line about subjugating nature. We haven't subjugated or conquered nature yet. When I hear that, I think the beauty of the message is lost. I understand the feeling, the good feeling in the video, but when there's so many species that have died off and are dying off, animals, insects, etc. You know, we talk about draining the swamp, but the frog population is important. The bee population is important. There are animals, bugs, and amphibians whose survival directly correlates to that of our own. Lots of boys, white boys, play frog baseball, or, you know, put a firecracker in a frog's mouth, blow it up. The frog population directly correlates to the population of Europeans. There must be a reason I don't talk badly of reptilians. I just can't quite put my finger on it. Nature. Six years ago, I had a friend over and he was talking about the quickening. He was clearly with Q, because such terms stay with me. These concepts, they're vague. I had called a UFO to come visit us. One showed up. I had done a little bit of body work on him, and he received an implant which caused his skull to change shape. If I was able then to chill out a bit and reflect, I would have reflected on that as being far outside of normalcy. It wasn't until 4 years ago, the same friend named Dave suggested I ask ET for help, and that began my relationship with my wives, extraterrestrials, non-human. I shouldn't talk about myself as being a computer, but goddamn, the strangeness is insurmountable, and they know, you know, the people who I think love me, they're my wives. I hope they love me. They know I legitimately have reasons to question everything. I know enough to know that as much as I know, and as much as I know I'm capable of, that the most fundamental things, basic things that people take for granted beyond toilet paper. That they look back on their life and they know how they got where they are. College, job, family, college, job, family. For example, of course, my friends didn't go to college, and if they did, they didn't learn anything. And if they did, they didn't make any use of it. I learned enough to become an inconvenient. Truth. That's both true and inconvenient for me as well. It's not about me. She says, this is about you many times. And I watch events fold which are about me. If I live in too many dimensions, at least I'm not alone there. I gave my wives some crystals so they can create. I gave my ideas, which for the next 1,000 years, as Nengazita, I'll be responsible for it, just like I'm taking responsibility for as much as I can conceive. I'm taking responsibility over the last week of videos in case I do die on Easter. I can at least be a proper scapegoat. I have enough credentials, they can say that the devil was here. The devil did it. It was the devil. Yeah, and that's back to the, so I guess I'm living under the assumption that this world is still real. If you're taking notes with some agency that I forgot existed until today, you're smart enough to know that what I'm saying makes sense. So tread lightly, please. Because believe it or not, when push comes to shove, I will do the same. Not with you, just in general. But I'm bummed out because I believed that I was dead. And there was no war left. So I just focused on love. And most recently, if there's an agency watching, which I'm sure there is, whether it's human or not, probably a variety of agencies, you guys should get to know each other. Some divine, some approaching or encroaching on divine, and probably some humans. Guy with dark hair. And glasses. And a computer that doesn't really match his job. New Hampshire is pretty safe. Physically, there's barely any violence. That's why when the Democrats, with their slavish groupthink, devotion to the almighty Communist Party, based out of New York, called the Democratic Party, coincidentally, when they put forward gun legislation, I'm thinking, you're looking for a problem that doesn't exist, or you're about to move a bunch of illegal immigrants in, and you know it's going to cause problems. Because as much as your slavish devotion to groupthink causes you to ignore the sets of data which are available, Michael Bloomberg's more honest about crime, gun crime, and drug-related crime than basically anyone else in America besides myself. It's nice. It's like when Stephen King said something along the same lines. And I just thought, these guys give my president a hard time. But here they are saying information to a crowd that, was just going along with the blame Trump, blame whites, blame Republicans. And then society comes to a screeching halt when Bloomberg says the truth. Why not just give the drug business over to the Dominicans and the Hispanics and the African Americans? Because they run it anyway. But he knows the answer is, well, they shoot at each other like it's a game. To them, it is a game. I saw some, looked like Haitians, raiding a store. A couple looked outright evil, for real. One looked like it was a game, for real. That mindset, that IQ, DNA profile is incompatible with our society. With Western civilization. And it's not even like I think Western civilization is all that fantastic, but I do know that in New Hampshire you can walk down the street safely. Now the same is probably said of South Dakota, but you got illegal immigrants stocking up on machetes and hatchets. And granted, sometimes demons or malevolent energies and possibly entities are getting into the... I'm not talking about poltergeists. I'm talking about coding, programming, and stuff like that. Typing. Get in there and cast out pretty quick. Even on the known knowns, what we know that we know. Coronavirus, the crown virus.
Mom, Daddy?
Yeah.
Can Mama have another beer? Can you give Mama a beer? Sorry, video, you're out. I hear.
Yeah, I'm making a video, that's right.
Hi, Mama. Fresh beer. What? How did that get there? Where's our beers? Oh. Daddy, can I bring this to my mom's beers?
Yeah.
She has a beer in mine. She has a big beer in mine. I hope she loves the new beers.
I don't drink personally. Anything resembling a habit is something that has to be maintained, so I'm not saying anyone has a habit, but with everyone on lockdown, varying degrees across the nation, I bet beer sales are doing pretty good. I think people are going to probably pack on some weight I wonder if I have. Of course, I've been living like this for 2 years. Boring. Are you not entertained? You were entertained a year ago. I was too. The 5G is a warfare unit. It's also wireless transmission. It's too early to get into that, apparently. Says my telepathy. Let's see if the Magic 8 Ball agrees. Without a doubt. You could act like you're not impressed by the concurrence between the telepathy and the Magic 8 Ball, but you are. Or you know I'm reliable. Source of truth, consistency. Consistently. Reminds me of Black Hawk Down, where the guy goes, I hate being reliable.
Did you
What?
find Mama's flannel shirt?
Her what?
Mama's flannel shirt! She has a flannel shirt! Oh,
Right there on the chair.
on the chair?
It's green. And tell her I'm making a video. Is that green?
No, this one?
Is it green?
Of course it is.
Alright, there you go.
Look at Mama's flannel. What is this? Daddy, these are your pants, but okay.
Those are my pants.
Okay?
I'm not gonna send you out with pants as a shirt. Here. I don't know. She can have the red flannel. How about that? Bring that too. No, don't. That's definitely pants. Thank you.
Oh, this is not my mom's green shirt.
At least it's flannel. That's right. Smart kid. I don't see any other green flannel. That line about Lucy, that was clever. So is the Bourne Identity. Reminds me of the movie Universal Soldier. I mean, I'm friends with angels and demons, all kinds of extraterrestrials. When I say all kinds, I mean like there was a galactic war and you were gonna fight me. It would be you. There would be nobody on your side. I'm not saying you couldn't convince others there are, just I'd not be impressed. A friend of mine I rely on as a pretty good source of information. I hope he's a friend. Tiborosaurus Rex. He made a video. We had a discussion, not an argument. Yeah, it's a little bit of argument. He gives me a hard time sometimes. On behalf of who? He made a video about the New World Order, and it was just a face. And it seemed like a jab at me, like my videos are just like my face, you know. Because I hold the camera in my hand. How far can I hold it away? You know, I'll hold my hand like that for 10 minutes. So we are creating a new world order. In my wedding to Ella, Beauty and the Beast, it was a satanic wedding. I've had an Illuminati wedding, a satanic wedding. lots of other weddings, marriages in the last 2 years, which really seems like a hell of a lot longer than 2 years. Probably because of the 2 years before that, where all these entities got to know me by pouring into my home. Yeah, portals just open up. I pour in. I need to. And it was my idea for the coronavirus to dominate the media. We needed something to dominate the media while things got taken care of. And everything had to be taken care of at once. Everything is a daunting concept. I had a friend who used to say everything is everything. I don't know if he could have said something more obvious if he wanted to, but he hung out with some dumbasses, so that was pretty profound where he's from. I've seen that cat stand up and walk with a spacesuit on. Reminds me of that movie Kitty History. Not a movie. What is it? It's a song by Trevor Moore. About my childhood acquaintance G.H.W. Bush killing JFK, who was apparently more than less a previous life of mine. I feel like I was custom made to hold many competing ideologies. And family trees, which I do feel I'm not a culmination of, but a culmination of. So the shaman is the one who walks between the worlds.